Welcome to Living Life and Love. I'm your host, Mark Braxton from Raleigh, North Carolina. This is a global vitiligo awareness and education podcast. You will hear the true and authentic stories from people living with vitiligo. You'll also hear from their loved ones, medical professionals, licensed mental health therapists, relationship counselors, global vitiligo support foundations and organizations, community leaders, and so much more. Sit back and enjoy living life and love. Once again, I'm your host, Mark Braxton from Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome to Living Life and Love. I'm your host, Mark Braxton from Raleigh, North Carolina. So on today's show, I have two special guests. I have Jami and Millicent. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome them to the show. So welcome, Jami.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for being here, and welcome back, Milli.
How you doing, Mark? Always a pleasure to be here.
I'm doing well. Today is I had a good day today. Let me put it that way. Today's a good day. So, we have those moments where we have those rough days. We have those moments where we just kind of like, I don't know what happened today, but we're going to make it work anyway. So, yes, but I thank you both for being here. Now, for our viewers and listeners, Jami was supposed to be on our relationship podcast, but things happened. So I decided to have her come on, and Milli as well, so we can have this discussion about a few things. Before we do that, let's start with Milli. Just kind of give a brief introduction to who you are, although they've met you before, and then we'll throw it over to Jami.
All right. I'm Milli. I'm from Hartford, Connecticut. I've known Mark for a few years, and always glad to do podcast shows with him. Let's see. What is my hobbies? I'm like, you know what? Honestly, I just like to chill out and just relax, and I'm just waiting for the holidays, honestly, to come and just keep going. Just keep going. So.
I feel you on that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a school teacher, so I'm ready for the holidays. Although Thanksgiving was just here, now I'm like, come on, Christmas. Come on, hurry up and get here. It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here again. Thank you for your quick introduction. And Jami, you can go ahead and keep your mic open. You don't have to worry about shutting off the mic. And go ahead and introduce you. We're gonna be talking so much you don't have time to click your mic. Go ahead and introduce yourself and share anything you want to the listeners.
Sure. I am Jami Williams. Excuse me. I am a friend of Millicent Meadows. She encouraged me to come on, and so I'm excited to kind of give my viewpoint of a single grandma living her life right now.
Absolutely. So before we get there, we are going to talk a little bit about dating relationships after 40 and sometimes after divorce, and sometimes, maybe you haven't been there, but we're going to talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about friendships, because I think, that's the one place as people we struggle sometimes. We don't quite know how to build friendships and sustain friendships. So how long have y'all been friends?
It's been over 10 years. We met at church, Gethsemane Missionary Baptist Church in Bloomfield, Connecticut.
So they threw a plug out there for the church. Y'all caught that, right?
Yes.
That's good.
And so, we met there, and we just instantly became friends. Like, she became my big sister, and just the rest is history. Like, she's just definitely a big sister to me.
Absolutely. So let's kind of talk about that friendship. Why friendship so important to us as people? We're not even talking about people with vitiligo or anything, but just as people in general.
Friendship, it is important. I mean, even though you have your siblings, if you're not the only child, you have a sibling, but it's always good to have that friend you can call and be transparent with. There's no judge there. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, friendship is not a perfect ship. It's not a perfect friendship, because there's going to be some issues. There was a time where me and Jami, we wasn't And it wasn't angrily that we wasn't speaking, but it's like I had to keep my distance because I was going through some personal stuff. But
You just gonna tell our business like that, Millie, already?
come on now. This is the podcast. Come on.
We may not get into some details. We're not gonna get into the details, but stuff happens.
Oh, please do. Be transparent.
But we one thing about us, we got back together and and I told her we was talking about the distance I had kept because I was going through some things. I knew I had to be by myself,
Right.
but and then I apologized and I talked to her how I felt and everything like that. But we've always been transparent. We always kept it real, and we may not agree on everything, on every
Right.
subject, every matter. But I like the fact that we can be open and honest with each other. And I think honestly, transparency and no judge is the key. Even if you don't like what they're doing,
Right.
and they think he's excited that and I'm like, girl, I support you, whatever you do. But it's like sometimes in the back, people, they don't agree, but that support and just being honest with each other. Just being honest with each other. That's so important. And not another thing about friendship, when you tell somebody something, it ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I just, it's hard to find that friendship. And when you find a friendship, because like she said, that's my baby sister. I consider her a baby sister, my little sister. When she hurt and I'm hurt. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it is with us. And
good.
Yeah, you gotta have that. You have to have that honesty, that kind of bond, that honesty, that transparency. Just keep it real with each other. So yeah.
Absolutely. Jamie, you want to add something?
I'm sure I'll add. Like Millie said, I'm probably not probably. I am closer to my two closest friends more than I am my three sisters. I mean, that's just reality. I love my sisters. Adore them. But there's things that I share, with a friend that I don't necessarily share with them. So friendships are so important. They're important to kind of feed them too, because a lot of times, if you neglect a friendship, then it suffers. And so to be watering that friendship and doing things together is just so important.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing with the men. We develop our friendships and we develop these close bonds, but then there are times where we kind of drift and you might not see that person for months, or it could be almost a year. Then you realize, you know what, if we're friends, let's talk. Let me share what I've been going through. Mm-hmm. And there are times where that pride gets in the way. You don't want to share. You don't want to burden anybody else with what you're going through. But a true friend would say, just talk to me. I'm here to listen. They may not have an answer for you, or may, like Millie said earlier, they may completely disagree with you. But a friend would still listen. They may hold you accountable for some of the things you're doing or saying, but they're still going to be there for you, even after the mess, and sometimes we can be messy. We're people. Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned, let's say nurturing that friendship. What are some ways you nurture your friendship?
For me, I would say just checking up on people. I know for myself, I'm considered like a strong friend, or, that I don't need a lot of kind of support, but those are the people that you should be checking on more, because I kind of tend to, hold things in so I could be what other people need me to be. So just checking on people, sometimes just calling and say, hey, let's go out, let's, grab, my friends, and I'm so different from them. They all love shopping. I'm a girl that doesn't like to shop. However, if I have to go to the store, then I know, what, let me call them, because they would appreciate it more.
Right.
And they would calm my nerves, because I hate going into stores. But and Millie loves going straight to the clearance rack, and I'm like, it's just too overwhelming for me. I don't want to be in the clearance rack, but so but it's really just checking on them. Like, we don't have to be on the phone every day. We don't have to see each other every week, but just a little check-in, just to make sure everything is fine.
Right. You want to add something, Millie?
I totally agree with her, and I totally agree with what she just said. And another thing you mentioned about You may not hear from your friends for months, whatever, this and that. But you know, even if I think about it, whatever, I call, say, hey, what you doing? How you doing? You know, you was on my mind. That's
Right.
another thing. Even this is another thing. When it comes to, like you said, you don't have to see him every day. You don't have to talk to him every day. And I have told somebody, I said, you got your church friends, you got your job friends, and then you got your ride and die friends. Them the friends you want to, those are friends that's going, you know what I'm saying? That's keeping it
Right.
real. But because I always believe that. You always have different environments. You all have people that you go to lunch with or you hang with, but you got your ride and die friends. And those are the important friends that you want to hold on to. Those are the
Absolutely.
because them other friends in them other environments, they may be jealous of you and talking to you, don't even know it.
Right. Right. And sometimes certain friends, they're different categories. Like you said, you got your ride or die friends, then you have your associates that you're friends with, and you know, you don't really deal with each other all the time. And then you got that person that could be a friend, but you know you can't quite trust them. You know, there's a situation that you may be going through. That person may or may not have your back. You know, and it's important that you know where you and your friends stand, and that check-in is important. You know, sometimes we don't know how important it is just to get that text or call to say, hey, you were on my mind. Are you okay?
Right.
Everything good with you? You know, and guys do that from time to time, but sometimes, you know, we let time go away and just say, hey, I ain't heard from you in a long time. Well, call. Send me a text. You on Facebook? You see I'm up there too. Send me a message. You know, it's that easy, but I think we take for granted that everybody's good. My strong, like you mentioned, Jamie, my strong friend is good. No, your strong friend may be going through some stuff too.
Right.
But that's your strong friend, so they got this, you know. As we're navigating, and I must kind of switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about a couple of different things. As we're navigating through the holiday seasons, you know, and people are going through a lot. We, you know, even within the vitiligo community, we've had several people that have experienced, you know, someone in their family has passed away, and they're going to navigate through this holiday season, you know, maybe alone or without that person, even down to spouses. You know, what are some things, you know, I know the norm is to always call that person, reach out to that person, but what are some things we can do to really help people? And I say navigate because, you know, when you're on the boat, it's not just one person, it's not just the captain, it's a whole crew of people to make that ship run. And life is the same way. You know, we think navigation is just one person on the island by themselves or in the ocean by themselves, but no. So what are some things we can do to help people make it through this trying? I say I shouldn't call it a trying time, but the holiday time is hard for a lot of us. So what can we do to help people make it through?
But you just said it, Mark. You said like check up on them and don't even, and you know, this is another thing. And Jamie mentioned it earlier too. Don't just call, just say, what you doing? Well, you know, I was thinking about going to Mass. You want to take a ride with me? You know what I'm saying? Get them out the house.
Yeah.
Don't just call. Go to them and say, what you want to go out to dinner? Let's go check out a movie. You know? I think, you know, losing, you know, within these 5 years, losing so many people that you don't even expect that would have died. You know what I'm saying? Because by looking at seniors, no, it ain't just the seniors, people in their 40s, 50s, you know. And I think, and I said to myself, I said, I gotta start living.
Yeah.
I said, I gotta start living. And if you gotta bring somebody along with you when you start living, rather taking trips or going here, then do that. Then do that. If you know they're going through some stuff, whatever, pull them right along. And guess what? They may hesitate and not want to go, but don't give up on them.
Right.
You don't give up on them. But you do have to, you know, I just, you know, that's what I said to myself. I said, you know what? I'm gonna start living. I am. I ain't gonna say, I ain't gonna get on that subject because I might offend some.
Do it.
Because I don't want nobody to come back to me and, you know, throwing holy water on me and stuff like that. But,
let me say this then.
Okay.
Sometimes we think the church is the right place for that friendship to help us get through things, but sometimes it could be the worst place because it could be judgmental. You know, when you're going through stuff and you're not quite doing what other people think you should be doing in your life, instead of crucifying you, so to speak, come check on me, see how I'm doing. You know, prayer is great. You can pray for me all day long, but maybe I don't need just your prayer. Maybe I need you to actually come over and sit with me, or like you said, invite me to something. You know, get me out of the house.
But you know, when I go to church, right? You know, I'm not at Gethsemane. I'm at a new church, Hopewell Baptist Church, Connecticut. But when I'm in church and I don't see somebody for, I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't seen it. I get her number and I call her. How you doing? What you doing? You want to go out to dinner, whatever? Like you said, like I was saying, you got to pull them along with you. And like I said, it's not all about calling. And this is another thing. Like you said, the holidays come around, this and that and all that. People got to realize, you know, we ain't gonna be here forever. You got to start living, and that's what I have decided to do because the holidays. And honestly, Thanksgiving, you know, I had it at my house. It was nice, and I told my youngest brother, I said, our family is shrinking because people have passed on. I said, our family is shrinking. I said, I got to start living, you know, and I lost my concentration. But like I said, that's what I decided to do. Everybody's different. Right. But no, you got to start treating yourself. You got to start gifting yourself with stuff. You know, because sometimes, you know, and I know I'm speaking to Jamie. Sometimes you be here for this person, that person, this person, that. Sometimes you gotta like take that break and pamper yourself and do what you can for yourself. You know, because it comes to a point sometimes, especially around the holidays, you moving, you doing this and that. You get to a point where you get depressed and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I've seen it. So yeah.
Well, you know, for me, I can say I have evolved as a friend because I used to be the friend that, you know, needed to fix it, needed to give you advice, needed to, you know, tell you something, you know, you grieving or whatever, let me help you. But I realized, you know, that just being there, and sometimes they just want you to listen and just be near them. And that's enough. Like, I don't feel like I always have to fix them, you know, or, you know, help them heal or help them get through this, you know, moment by saying something profound. It's really about just, you know, being there, you know, maybe laughing, doing something, you know, fun, because this is a hard time of the year for a lot of friends that I know. And so 2 days ago would have been my grandmother's birthday, and she passed a couple years ago. And that was my girl. Like that was my favorite girl in the world. But yeah, it's just really about just being there, you know. So sometimes in silence.
Right. That key is important. You said listen. And I mentioned that earlier. Like, we have to learn the art of listening to people. We do like to fix others sometimes. We like to give them advice. We like to tell them, I would do this. Yeah, you would do it, but maybe I'm going to do something different. That's not what I need. It's what you need. And a lot of times we try to fix people according to our lives, not realizing we got to meet them where they're at in their lives. You know, I even think about that as a teacher. You know, we get burned out because we're constantly pouring into the kids and pouring in, and we got to teach this and teach that. And I recall many years ago, a gentleman at my church, which is the Greater Christian Chapel Church in Apex, North Carolina, formerly called Friendship. We putting plugs out there. Let's do it. Well, this gentleman, he asked me, he said, you know, Mark, let me ask you a question. And I said, okay. He said, if you're constantly pouring into other people, who's pouring back into you? I was like, I don't know, because I didn't have an answer. I was like, I don't know. I'm just doing all these things. So it was one of the many points in my life that made me realize I've got to live. And I'm glad you said it too, Millie. We got to learn how to live our lives, not necessarily for other people, but for ourselves, because we would do for others, but then we forget about who we are and the things we enjoy, the things we want to do, because we're so busy. I'm gonna help this person over here. I'm a volunteer over here. I'm gonna help this person over here. And then you sit back and go, dang, ain't nobody help me. You know, and that's where that being that strong friend comes in, because they're gonna feel like you got this. You don't need help. We all need help. everybody needs some support at some point in some moment, sometime in your life.
That's true. And it goes to that saying that you can't pour from an empty cup.
Mhm.
And a lot of times that's what we try to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, we pour in air. That's it. and the air just floating everywhere. Ain't no liquid in there.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about something else. We talked about, you know, friendships, and I think this part is tied into friendships. Let's talk about dating and relationships after 40.
Mhm.
And for some, we can say after divorce or after a breakup, after being single. There we go. After being single, you know, and I don't want us to take shots at, you know, other people, because we know there's going to be the good, bad, and the ugly when it
Mhm.
comes to relationships and dating. But I'm going to start it this way. I do feel it's challenging. I was talking to some of the fellas one day, and we're just saying how challenging it is starting a relationship after a certain stage in life. You know, we become used to being who we are. We're used to our own personal space. We're used to navigating life the way we've been doing it. And then you're thinking about entertaining somebody else to come into your life, because you will, although you're still living your life, you do have to alter it and change it a bit, because you got to learn how to compromise. But I think part of that, to me, goes back to you have to build a foundation, and that foundation starts with friendship. What are some of the challenges that you have seen, whether it's in your relationship or maybe somebody else's, or relationships? What are some of the challenges you see? And then we're going to kind of circle back around and talk about getting out of that. You know, what are some of the highlights and positive aspects of dating?
I can jump in. For me, you said that big C word is like a monster to me. Compromise. Like,
Yes.
you know, I have been single for so long that I just can't imagine compromising. Like I don't want to. Like I
Right,
just,
right.
you know, which is not a good thing. But yeah, I'm just like comfortable in my peace. And I don't want to have to, you know, compromise with anybody. So it's challenging because you can't be in a relationship, a healthy one, without that compromise. So.
And let me say this real quick. I know Millie's going to jump in soon. I can see you thinking. Compromise is hard. It is hard because it takes you out of your element. And, you know, now you have to think about the other person, where before you just had to think about you. You know, you
That's
go where
it.
you want to go, do what you want to do, how you want to do it. And now you have somebody else. And then I think is always a part of us to say, if this person, is this person really on board? You know, or are they here for a moment or a minute and then they're going to be gone? So you don't know. That's the risk we take also. And it takes you, and as you mentioned, Jamie, it takes you, you said comfort. It takes you out of your comfort zone.
Mhm. You know what? Jamie just said, well, two things I want to bring up. The first thing, when she said compromise, and I think about that all the time. And I say to myself, wow, if I was in a relationship, I said, how would I act? You know, because it's like she said, been single for so long, you know, ain't no room in the bed. No, I got my one toothbrush and that's it. I don't even know, you know. So, but she's right though. I mean, I wouldn't even know how to act, you know. Just that would be hard for me. That would be hard for me. I know it's a leaf I can turn over, you know, it's a leaf I can turn over, but I know it will be hard.
Right.
And it's another thing I want to say, being the age I am, I have gone out with younger men, but I just felt like at that point, sometimes I feel like I'm mothering them. You understand what I'm saying? They
Right.
do some things. I'm like, no, he ain't supposed to be doing. You know that ain't right. Now, come on, now, you know, take your hat off, take it. You know, just
Right. Right.
you understand what I'm saying? So I have felt that at certain times, and I had to question myself. And my mother, at one point, I backed up. I didn't say nothing because I didn't want this person thinking that I'm mothering them. You understand what I'm saying? Because that could hurt a friendship, possibly.
Yeah, that's not sexy.
Exactly.
But you know what? I think sometimes once we reach a certain age, we assume everybody knows how to carry themselves. We
Yeah.
assume everyone has the proper etiquette and mannerisms around, social certain like you go in a restaurant, take
Mhm.
your head off, pull the chair back. There's certain things you expect, but not everybody has that.
I know.
And I think too, we don't often want to teach people what we want or teach them how to love us. We expect them
Mhm.
to know, but
Yeah.
sometimes you have to teach people. And it's not so much hey, sit down, let me tell you, this is how you got to do it. No, but I think that's where the conversation becomes so important, that communication.
Mhm.
And there's a way to do it. Like you could slip in it, like I've had conversations just with in the whole dating scene of I don't want anybody to fix me. I'm trying to
Mhm.
fix me. You know,
Mhm.
if you see something wrong, I get it. You might say, hey, this, but then let me decide if that's something that I need to fix, or you need to decide, is that something you can deal with? If you can't, then maybe we're not going to be compatible. You
Mhm.
know,
That can I just say that's so important, especially women. Let me just say, a lot of times we date on potential. Like, you know what? That's if I could just help him do this, or
Mhm.
get him here, he would be the perfect guy. No, you can't do that anymore. You have to be like, if he's not who you want now, then don't even entertain it. Don't
Mhm.
even entertain it. Like you can't date off of potential, because you can't expect somebody to change just because you think it's for the best for them. They have to be willing and ready.
Mhm.
So that would be my advice.
yeah, and everybody's in a different place in life. And I think some people are not changing, some people are not evolving. But I think
Mhm.
if you're looking at yourself and you want to better yourself, because we always have that room to get better in
Right.
fixing certain things in our lives, but
Mhm.
we have to want to evolve and change. And that's hard sometimes when you meet somebody, because say like if you've been dating for a year and you starting to see this person become somebody different, whether it's a positive change or a negative one, it might not be comfortable because you're going, wait a minute, when I met you, you were this way. Now all of a
Mhm.
sudden you start acting differently. What's going on? Then you might start thinking of somebody else. No, I think we're constantly changing. If it's not physically or
Mhm.
emotionally, mentally, sometimes spiritually. And we have to figure out, this is what I feel. We have to figure out what can we deal with or handle in that situation. And Jamie, like you said, if it's something that's not going to work for you, you move on,
This is another thing I noticed. Some women get into relationships because they don't want to be alone.
right.
And no matter what, they don't, I'll accept them. No matter, they don't like something about this person or this man, but they still gonna be with them because they don't want to be alone.
Hmm.
That's around the holidays. Come on. Around the holiday. No, seriously, around the holiday, a lot of people, you have men and women that they're
Yeah.
alone, they be with somebody, you walking on the mall, you walking to the mall, see the couples and this and that all over, holding hands and stuff like that. So I know, I know people be feeling some type of way. But like you said, don't be with somebody just because.
Just because, right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I've known those situations.
And I've been guilty of that. I mean, just be honest, I've dated somebody just because, well, I'm
Mhm.
by myself, they're nice
Mhm.
looking, might as well date. But doesn't work now because there was nothing else invested,
Right.
just because someone looks nice,
Mhm.
smells nice, has all the physical attributes you want out of a person and all that stuff, doesn't mean it's going to work. Like there's got to be a deeper connection. That it's got to be an emotional connection that's beyond physical, because we're people, and we see somebody on the outside, we like ooh, all this stuff. No, get to
You
know that person deep down inside.
you just nailed it, Mark. You said it has to be more spiritual. It has to be not the natural. Because listen, stuff
Right.
coming off, stuff
Yeah.
coming off.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's eyelashes, pieces of hair, whatever. Stuff coming off. You remember you wake up and got what's that white stuff in your eye, crossing your eyeball. Stuff is going to be seen. You like you look like that when I first met him. So you are
Right.
right. It's all about what's inside that person. Like you said, they can smell nice, dress nice, and that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
How is their heart? How is their character?
Absolutely.
That's what you're looking at.
Absolutely. And I think that's where we follow society, social media and all that. And they give you this view of the perfect person. Oh, they walk like this and they talk like this. And yeah, but you go wash all that stuff off for men and women. You wash off that fakeness, that mask, you pull that aside. What do you have? You know, yeah, a person can go get fit. They stay in the gym 24/7. Great. But they don't have time for you.
Mm-hmm.
This person, you know, has a lifestyle where they got 5 million followers. Great. But guess what? They don't have time for you. So they so focused on the numbers. But what about you? You know, I think we have to get out of the superficial and really dig down with, you know, who are you? And I've had that conversation with people. The question I ask is, who are you? I don't want to know what you do for a living. I said, who are you? And if you can't tell me who you are outside of work, outside of, you know, other things, then it's not going to work, because we're multi-layered people. We should be, you know. Like you said, peeling back. If we keep peeling, yeah, you're going to find the good, you're going to find the bad, you're going to find the ugly. But then you need to know, now I see the real person. Is this somebody I can deal with, or somebody I don't want to deal with, or somebody I want to build with or not build with?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I was I don't even know if maybe it was Jamie I was talking to. No, I was talking to my son, and I was telling him this Disney cartoon I watched. And he looked at me like that. I was like, yeah, I watch Disney cartoons. Yes, I still watch Disney. Yes, I do watch it. Because then, you know, and I was telling him about Pinocchio. He's looking, I said, just watch the movie. You're gonna know what I'm talking about. Because, you know, that's how I am. I like old black and white movies. I love old black, especially, you know, crime thrillers. I'm into that. And like you said, you know, you want to know what that person's about spiritually, what they like.
Right.
You know, like you said, they can dress whatever, this and that, but that doesn't matter. And sometimes it's hard to meet somebody like that. I didn't say it's hard to go look for somebody like that. No, you don't go looking. It's hard sometimes to meet someone like that.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Millie. So you mean I don't go out there and get me a fishing rod and start throwing it out there and hooking up people and reeling them in? You know, let me go over here this time and throw it out there and reel her in. Hey. So I don't go fishing, but you kind of let things happen naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me be transparent with you. Let me be transparent. Okay. I'll let things happen naturally now.
Right.
Years ago, when the dating sites came out and all, that was different.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But then you learn from that. But now naturally I just let whatever happens. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more like you know, just organic.
Right.
I've tried the dating online before, and it just feels, not to knock it. I mean, it's a good tool. But for me, I wasn't comfortable with it, because I remember the show Flavor of Love.
Right.
That's how I felt. Like it was like a bunch of women, and you got this one guy, and he get to choose which one he was. I was like, no, I don't want to be a fish in your pond. So I'll just, you know, naturally meet somebody,
right,
in the different places that I go.
Now, the crazy part, or interesting part, or whatever you want to see it, with the dating sites, now with so many filters, you don't know who you're getting or what you're getting. Even, I mean, in all aspects, whether it's, you know, in looks or in gender or whatever, you don't know what you're getting until you're able to set up an actual, let's meet in person. I want to see who I'm talking to. And then I kind of feel like if it's a situation like that and the person's kind of hesitant, what are you hiding? You know, or who are you hiding? You hiding yourself from the world. Why? You know, and I feel like there's so many people comfortable with the computer. They can hide behind it. They can be somebody they're not. You know, look, if somebody is for you and they really want to be with you, they'll get to know who you are. All that other stuff doesn't matter, you know, but I think we put so much weight into I gotta have this. I gotta have that. I gotta look like this. Look, if my hair is thinning, it's going thin. It is what it is. If it's gray, it's gray. If I got more spots, I get more spots. It is what it is. If someone is going to like me, they're going to get to know me, and then hopefully they're going to love me for who I am, not for who they think they want me to be, because I can't be anybody else but me.
I met this guy one time, and years ago, like I said, the dating site, and he broke it down what type of woman he was looking for. I want her nice and slim. I want her hair past her shoulder. She got to look like this or that. You know what I told him? I said, Toys R Us open at 8:00. I think Barbie's an out. You need to check out. They do got, black Barbies on there. So
right.
When you're looking for. Yeah.
Well, that's society. Society has this picture of the perfect person. There's no perfect person. We all have flaws in some form or fashion. If it's not physical, it's going to be emotional. If it's not emotional, it's going to be spiritual. It's not spiritual, it's mental. We all come with something. And getting that shell of a person that you want, you can get the most rotten person in the inside, but that's what you want, and that's what you're gonna get. Then you complain later, oh man, yeah, she was fine, but she was rotten and she did this to me. Well, that's what you pick. You pick a shell instead of a person. And I think men and women we have to have that discernment, first of all, because you kind of know what type of person you're dealing with after a few conversations. You're like, oh, okay. But then you also gotta right. And then when you talk to your friends, because come on, we talk to our friends, we tell our friends, oh, I met this person and they this and that. Listen to your friends. I made that mistake. I did not listen to my friends about a situation, and I'm like, dang, I wish I would have listened, but I didn't, because, well, first of all, you got to know your friends, and sometimes you have friends that lie all the time, so you just assume that person's lying. I'm like, man, you lying, but no, they were telling the truth. So I'm not trying to give away the situation and details and all that, but you got to listen to people. You got to listen to your own heart. You got to listen to that feeling you get about a person, that energy, and listen to them. When you're having conversations with people, listen to what they say, because a lot of times they'll tell you who they are, but we don't ask enough questions.
Absolutely. I was talking to a friend of mine a couple months ago, and I asked a question, and they gave me a specific answer. And then later on, I found out that it was more to it. And it was like, oh, this is a guy. He was like, oh, well, you didn't. That's how you asked. That's how you framed the question. So that's what I gave you. And I'm like, but you knew,
right?
And I wanted the whole truth. It was like, no, you got to ask the right questions.
But that's how people are. I told you exactly what you asked.
You're right.
But sometimes we have to ask more. We have to dig deeper.
We do.
But I think we get afraid to, because even if we already know the answer, sometimes we don't want to hear the answer. We just kind of leave it at that.
But you know what, Mark? You know what? When people, and then Jami know I'm like this, and my other friend, she know I'm like this, and she asked me a question. The first thing I say, you want me to keep it real with you?
Yep, you do that.
I'm about to be transparent with you. I'm about to be transparent, okay? Yeah, and I said, you may not like what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna keep it real with you. And that's what a friend is.
Yeah.
I mean, that Jami know I'm like this. So, and I expect her, and she's like that with me. So yeah.
And you have to keep it real, and you got to keep it real with yourself too. I think, like you mentioned earlier, this holiday season, yes, people, every Hallmark movie, everything on TV is about finding love at Christmas and falling in love at Christmas and the holiday, all that stuff. And we start feeling like, dang, I want that. And sometimes we take anything that comes in front of us. You're like, ooh, hey, let's hook up. Let's be Christmas booze. And then come New Year's, you only talk to each other. Or maybe after Valentine's Day, because I feel like there's 3 times in a year that people really try to hook up. It's around the holidays, Valentine's Day, and right around the summertime where everybody getting halfway naked. It's like,
Don't you think so? I thought people like to be single for the summer.
no, I noticed I said hook up.
Oh, you did say
See, the springtime is the allergy season. Ain't nobody think about that. Everybody's snotting and sneezing around. We ain't think about you in the spring, waiting for the summer, and then come right as September, October, kind of the homecoming season. But then once November hits, it's kind of like, ooh, I don't have nobody for the holidays. I'm gonna go to church and be by myself. My family gonna come over. I'll be by myself. But you know what? Just be by yourself. If you need a stand-in for a relationship, not a real relationship, just a stand-in, just be by yourself. Don't do anybody like that.
But you know what I heard too? I heard sometimes men don't want to be with nobody around the holidays, so that means they got to buy him a gift. I was like,
I've heard that.
You said you heard that. Have
I've
you
heard
ever
that.
done that?
No. No,
that mean I gotta buy a gift. I just met her 2 weeks ago. Does that mean I gotta buy a gift?
Yeah. Let me say this: if you meet somebody, let's say you're single and you meet somebody at this stage. So let's say it's December, and y'all are going out. I don't see why not giving something. It doesn't have to be a big expensive gift because y'all don't know each other like that. But it's just something nice just to say, hey, it is the holiday season. It's the season of giving. Here's a little something to just say, I appreciate your time. I can see that, but just to be like, nah, we can't talk because I don't want to give you no gift. That's kind of grimy. And then you'd be like, let me talk to you in January 1st.
Okay.
At that point, no.
Yeah. Right.
That's a good point. Because I think I would want to give something to if I met somebody in, a few weeks and they come over or I go over there. Like I could see a woman like, you guys buying like us a candle or something like that.
Yeah.
What would a man like though? That if I've only been talking to a guy for like 3-4 weeks, what can I get them?
That's a good thought because I haven't been in that situation.
Like maybe a Dunkin' Donut gift card or. I'm
sure a gift card, anything would be suffice. I think long as he knew it was from your heart, Now, if it's just some random person come up, hey, I got you a gift. What? Who are you? But if we've been spending time, I think he should be appreciative of anything, even if it's just a card. Just saying, hey, thank you for your time. I enjoy spending time with you. Something like that. It doesn't have to be anything big, because we're just getting to know each other, and I think vice versa. And just to say, I look forward to spending more time with you into 2025 and beyond, and just kind of leave it at that. If you both are on the same page.
You just said something. You said if they both on the same page. Yeah. But you also said something too. I think cards are so sweet. I think they're so nice. And even because some people like big gifts, whatever, like you said, depends on how long you've known this person. But a card would be so nice because I don't know. The cards I've gotten in the past, I love. And guess what? Even if I got that phone call, I was just thinking about you, just want to know how you was doing.
Right.
But that's something nice. To me, that's sentimental. I love stuff.
Yeah.
Like
and I'm gonna let you say that because sometimes we think a gift is something you can wrap. It could be that phone call. It could be, hey, I know you're with your family. Do you have 5 minutes? I just wanted to see you just to say hi, Merry Christmas, whatever, Happy New Year. And you might not have time to spend, but at least you show that person, man or woman, that they matter to you. I think that is very important.
It is.
All right, Jamie, you got something to say? See, we're all thinking now, like, let me think. So what do I get? Yeah. but it's a real thing because some people expect a gift. I feel like you should not expect anything. It should be up to the other person to think enough about you to want to get you something. Or vice versa. You should think enough about the other person, whether you're just starting off or been together for a long time. It's about thinking about the other person. Right. And if you don't have someone, guess what? Treat yourself out. Take yourself out on a date. Now, don't go out there and buy yourself a card and write you a note and be like, hey, I missed you. No, but you can treat yourself
Excuse me, a
out.
few years ago, I bought my car for Valentine's Day. That was my Valentine's Day gift.
Valentine's Day is a little
Nice.
bit different. Valentine's Day is a little different. Look, and we're gonna have a Valentine's Day podcast. I will let you know the exact date. We're gonna record it, so that will be another discussion. Valentine's Day. Yeah, I got some thoughts on that one. But just getting through, Christmas and Ramadan, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, however you celebrate it. I think it is hard for some people when you have to celebrate it alone.
Yeah.
Because you do want to celebrate it with somebody else. Besides your kids, besides your family, because we have our families, and sometimes extended family will celebrate with, but that significant person. And then going into the New Year's, that was one of the holidays I hated. I hated New Year's Eve. That whole sad song we got to play, and everybody's standing around waiting for the balloon to drop, not a balloon, but the ball to drop, and then all that stuff, and then you see everybody booed up in New York, and I'm sitting there going, half of y'all not even gonna be together after the New Year.
I turn it to you, y'all don't even look at it.
Yeah. And then you got to sit there and listen to Ryan Seacrest and everybody, and they play all this music I never heard of before.
just like you mentioned Hallmark, and people always say, I hear people say, I just love the Hallmark. I was like, Hallmark sucks.
I was a Lifetime and Hallmark.
Lifetime and Hallmark. I don't watch that. I don't watch that. No.
Put the game on. Put another game on.
No.
but no,
boxing.
No.
Lord. But everybody has their own thing that they use to get through the holidays. Because, like I said, it can be tough for people. But just know that opportunity to love is always there. You just got to make sure it's genuine, make sure it's right, and not just for a moment. Because you're right, there are some people out there who just want you for the moment. They just need somebody to get through the holidays, and after that, January 2nd, you don't hear from them anymore, and it's like you don't exist. And the same thing like with Valentine's Day, but we're gonna get to that with that Valentine's Day podcast. And you just have to figure out, if this person is really for you. And that's a conversation to have, if you are in, as we called it in the last podcast, an emerging relationship, just ask, hey, if this is going somewhere, if it's not, let me know. If I'm just someone that you're seeing for the moment, or that you see for an extended period of time, leading hopefully into a lifetime commitment, that's a conversation to be had,
Right.
And either that.
It's so important, Mark, you said that, because I know for women, at least for myself, I remember being younger and just scared to have that conversation, not knowing what he was going to say. So I wouldn't have it. And so, but no, whatever he's saying, believe him. And you need to hear it. Like, you need to know where you guys stand.
Right.
And so, but yeah, a lot of, young women are afraid to have that conversation.
And really, and I know some people want to put a time frame on things. I get it. After this time, we should feel this way. Well, not necessarily. You feel what you feel, no matter how soon or how later it is. But when you have that conversation, just be honest with each other. If you're not the one, just say it. That lets that person free, at least their heart to be free, to find someone else who sees them as the one,
But you know what? Another thing, people have to, men and women, they have to be cautious to do this. When you meet somebody, I've heard this word so many times: self-sabotage. Self-sabotage. Don't bring what happened in the past into, because you start. I used to do that, and I learned from that. You can't look at somebody and then look for what happened in the past. Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that?
Right.
Going to do it for me? Is he going to take his hat off? Is he going to do this and do it? You can't do that, because, like I said, I've learned from that, and it could end up hurting that person in the end. You know what I'm saying? You can't worry about what happened yesterday. You can't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. You got to focus on the present.
Absolutely.
What's in front of you? What's in front of you? Because trust me, I learned that, and it just, in the end, you're going to end up getting hurt. And then you're going to say, well, what did I do? You know, you understand what I'm saying?
We have an unhealthy habit of comparing, like if we've been in a not long distance, but in a long relationship, long lasting, which could be a dating situation or marriage. And if it didn't work out, we look at the next person as, well, they might do the same thing. Yeah, they might. But if that's what you want to focus on, then you're, like you said, you're going to self-sabotage. Look at the present. How are we today? How are we building this relationship today? And as we talk about like things like mindfulness and all that stuff, be mindful in your relationship. Focus on that person. Allow them to focus on you. Are you going to have some rough times? Yeah, you're a person on this planet. You're going to bump heads. You're not always going to agree. But how do you feel about this person?
Right.
How do they feel about you? Can y'all work through issues together to make it work? You know, because, you know, we give up in a heartbeat. I ain't like the way she said that, so I ain't talking to her no more. She got on my nerves, man. You know, and we don't talk to that person anymore.
Right.
But in a situation like that, I feel like, did you really like her from the beginning, or vice versa? You know,
you know what you did? You just hit something on the head too. They'll do that, men and women. They'll do that as an excuse not to be with that person.
Right.
It's like, come on, be honest. If we're just gonna be friends, let me know. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to how do you say, invest in something that he's not even feeling the same way. You feeling something different, but he's not. I think it's so important to be. Sometimes it's good to be just friends, you know?
Right.
Did you get to know that person and then you go home, you're like, you know, I think I just like her or him as a friend. That's it. I don't think it's,
and it's okay, right?
It's okay. You just said it. It's okay. It's okay.
I was just having a conversation about that, where people can guilt trip you into being in a relationship. You see that person as being a friend. That's it. That's all you see them as. But they feel like, I look this way, I treat you like this, so you should be with me. No, I don't need to be with you. I don't have to if I don't feel the same way. You know, it could be where we're on two opposite sides of the spectrum. You're in love with me, I'm not in love with you. It's not going to work. Or vice versa. Maybe I'm in love and she's not. It's not going to work. We have to be on the same page at the same time. And we got to be realistic. If love is not involved and you're looking for a loving relationship, a friendship is probably what it's going to be.
That's so true. Remember, a couple times guys have been interested in me, and they are good guys, but I just wasn't interested in that way. And you kind of like, but what if, you know, I wish I could, you know, be interested. I wish I could, you know, be attracted to them because they are nice. But no, I mean, it's just, we're
sometimes,
okay. Like, it just doesn't work out like that. And not that I want the bad boy, because I don't, but just like, you're not meant to be with everybody. That's attractive
absolutely.
to you. So it's okay.
And let me say this. Just because you are an attractive person, that's what people out there, doesn't mean that everybody wants you.
Okay.
You're not everyone's cup of tea.
Right.
And I often say this, some people don't drink tea. They drink coffee, they drink juice, they drink water. You just might not be what they want. But we get in this thing of, I'm attractive, so he or she's supposed to want me. No, that don't mean nothing. Some people are looking for more than just attraction. They want connection. And if you're not connected, attraction doesn't matter. You know? Wow, we're getting deep into this. I'm sitting there like, wow, I'm gonna get off this phone, off this conversation, like, wow, what did we just say? But no, but it's good for us. Somebody said it's good for us as adults to be able to have these conversations.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes we get together and we want to tear each other down. And it's good to just have these honest conversations without pointing a finger at somebody, you know, because men and women do some of the same things, you know. We both come with issues. We come with garbage. You know, sometimes we come with garbage trucks, you know, and we have to figure out, how do we get past that? How do we get out of that situation to build into a sustainable relationship that's filled with love? That's what's important.
You know what, though? I have to wonder, I don't know how people feel this way, but when you're just getting out of a relationship, don't rush into another one.
Right, right.
Everybody's different. To me, especially if it was a relationship that hurt you, you have to heal within first.
Absolutely.
You have to heal within first. Don't just jump into, because you want somebody to fill that gap that just hurt you. No, I believe you just healing within yourself is so important before you move on.
And not just healing, but learning yourself. Like so many people, because I've known, I had a family member like that since I was a kid, like they always had someone. And I'm like, wow, like when I thought about that, and then I thought about how much do they really know themselves? Like, been by themselves enough to really to know what they want, to know what they like, to know what they desire. And so like you said, it's just very difficult. It's very important just to have some time. Just like I look at Jennifer Lopez, who is just beautiful, and she loves love. But I'm like, just be like, take a year hiatus and just like
working on yourself is important. And two, you have the right to say no. If you meet someone and you're getting to know them, you realize it's not what you want. This is not what you want. She or he's not who you want. You have the right to walk away from it. Like, that's your choice, And yes, you have to heal from a hurt past. You have to heal from disappointment. But you don't have to settle. And that's one of the things I've learned. You don't have to settle for anybody, until you find the right one for you. Like the right one for you doesn't mean it's a perfect package, but it's the right person for you. And you'll know that because you're feeling in the inside,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Don't settle. Don't just settle. No, don't just settle. Don't do that.
I was talking to a friend. She's also a therapist, relationship counselor. And one of the things she said, we all have options. But with your options, how many of your options do you want? I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's a good thought. Because there are always going to be people who want us, and for whatever reasons, they're going to like us, be interested. And sometimes we feel there's nobody wants us. No, a lot of people want us, but it may not be who we want, and it's okay not to want those options, and that's something I had to learn because I kind of feel like, man, I feel bad, because sometimes we, if you have a kind heart, you feel bad for people. Oh, I let that person down. They said I broke their heart, but I'm like, we weren't even dating. We just had a few conversations, and I'm like, wait a minute. But that's what I meant about that guilt trip, because people make you feel guilty about not wanting to talk to them. But you have the right, men and women, you have the right to say no until you find who you want or find what you need out of a relationship.
Exactly.
Wow. Ladies, this has been a great conversation. We are going to get to a stopping point because we will come back and revisit some of the same topics during our Valentine's Day discussion. And I'll make sure I'll let you know when it's going to happen, but it's going to be a great panel of people. So before we leave, I'll always ask the listeners, not the listeners, I always ask my guests. My listeners, you can say some words of encouragement also, but to the people that but for my guests, I always ask my guests to leave words of encouragement. So we're going to start with the veteran first, Milli. Because I say that because you've been with me for a long time, Milli. We worked together through Bit Friends, and you've been on my podcast several times, so you're my veteran.
Well, thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Look, what do I always say? What do I always say when you ask that question? Self-love.
No, first thing you say is, I'm going to keep it real.
Okay. Oh, yeah. You want me to keep it real? I'll be transparent. No, self-love. And I'm be honest, being a woman 60 years old and being a plus size woman, a Black woman, self-love is so important. It's so important because that'll open some doors.
Right.
It will. I'm being honest. It will, and you'll learn a lot about yourself. Because that's what I had to do. I had to learn to love myself. And that's so important. And men and women. So that's what I just, everybody, you have to do that. That's important. And I don't know if you're going to do it through prayer or through certain books you read or whatever, just or talking to like a professional, like a therapist or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's self-love. That's so important to have.
Absolutely. But thank you, Millie, for sharing that. And yes, self-love is important. I'm going to go to Jami, who's our newcomer. So thank you, Jami, for joining us today.
First of all, thank you for having me. I
You're
enjoyed
welcome.
myself. I want to piggyback off of what Millie said with the self-love. It'll open some doors. It'll also close some doors too that need to be closed. So remember that, guys. But for my advice, honestly, I would say, please, please, please show yourself grace. It has taken me a long time to do that, but now that I'm doing it, it's another form of self-love. It really is, a self-care. So show yourself grace. No one's perfect. We all mess up. We all get it wrong. We all stumble, but just get back up and just keep on going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Jami. And yes, that grace is so important for men and women, because we tend to beat ourselves up and feel like, oh, I'm no good and nobody's this, or I can't do. No, don't get into that. Don't get into all that. But self-love is so important. And this show is Living Life in Love for a reason. For one, Millie talked about in the beginning that you got to live your life. Yes, you have to learn how to live your life, but you also got to do it through love. And as I always in my shows, I talk about loving people. That's so important. And let me say this. I know it's hard to love some people. We can love those who are close to us. We can love family, some family from a distance, but we still got to love them. Friends, associates, colleagues, all these people are important that we have to love. And there's some people that we don't know. We know of them, but we don't know. We still got to love them from a distance, because sometimes you don't want certain people in your inner circle. What's going to happen in the next year, we don't know. And that brings up a lot of ill feelings for people, because based on how people voted and decisions being made, we still got to love people, because this world needs a lot of love. There's a lot that's happening every day. We turn around, there's violence here, violence there. But if we combat that with love, not with violence itself, that's going to help out. Our kids need love. They need to see us being able to love each other. I was just watching a discussion about marriage in the Black community. And I started thinking, our kids are watching us. They're watching what kind of relationships we have. They're watching who we are involved with, and that's going to determine a lot of times how they are going to love someone, because they're watching us. They're seeing us as the example. So we start showing love to all these different groups of people. They're going to say, it's okay to love someone who looks different than me, who acts different, walks different, talks differently. But most of all, they have to see you look in that mirror and tell yourself, I love you. Because if they don't see you loving you, how do you expect somebody else to love you? So it starts with us. So for my guests, Jami and Millie, thank you for being here. For my listeners, thank you for tuning in and listening in. And for anybody else out there, I hope there was something in this conversation that's going to make you look at yourself or look at somebody else and say, you know what? I love them. I love me. Love is so important. Once again, you have been listening to Living Life and Love. I'm your host, Mark Braxton from Raleigh, North Carolina. Y'all take care. And as I always say, peace. It's late at night and I can't sleep. Moments with you cycles on repeat. Thoughts of you brings me peace. Time with you makes my love increase. Emerging from my metamorphosis, your genuine love is hard to resist. Stay in my heart, rest in my mind. Don't need a rush, we still have time. Our love is fresh, I want you here. Love unlimited, love without fear. I chose you and you chose me. I thank God for planting love seeds. Take my hand and caress my soul. Embrace our love and never let go. Now, our love is on track. Let's board this train together and never look back. We know failed relationships can leave infinite scars on our souls that keeps our hearts trapped in bondage. We don't have to live in bondage. We have a choice. Allowing ourselves the opportunity to fall in love can be a frightening experience, but it doesn't have to be. When we're falling, the right person would be there to catch us. They would be there to celebrate our triumphs and walk with us when we're facing life's many challenges. Their embrace will open our eyes to the reality that love is not extinct, nor is love on the endangered list. The reality is we were never in danger from falling in love. We've always had the wings to fly. Let our special person fly with us and witness the many wonders that love has to offer. Experience love to its greatest capacity together as we live our lives with love and in love.